Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome in. Give me just a second here to get us going live. And it looks like we're up. Okay, awesome. I am Katie Castillo, the community expert at VirtForce, and this is Tuesday Job Talks. So welcome in. We go live weekly. The VirtForce team goes live every week around noon Pacific Standard Time. We talk about open job opportunities, upcoming events, and we usually share tips, job searching advice, free resources, learning activities, things like that. If you have any specific questions or things you do want us to talk about, feel free to drop us a comment or send us an email, let us know. We're happy to help. The whole reason this exists is to help you guys. So let's get to it. So first, let's talk about jobs. It's up. First, go to our jobs. You're going to find them at our job arsenal, which is this QR code up here. If you scan it, it's jobs.virtforce.us. Let me see if I have a little caption for you. Here we go. So jobs.virtforce.us. If you go there or you scan this little QR code up here, it'll take you straight to our job board. Make sure that you sign in, make an account on it. It's free, but if you don't log in, you won't be able to see all of the jobs that we have on the job board. If you just go to jobs.virtforce.us and you don't log in, you'll only see a few of the highlighted roles, like 3 to 5 of them, but you won't see all of them. So make sure you sign in and then hit the jobs button so you can see all of the jobs up there. So we have a new role today that went up this morning with CVS Health. It's a customer service rep role. It's fully remote, W-2 full-time role, and equipment provided, lots of benefits and things like that. That one just went up this morning. We do have another CSR customer service role coming up. It is another fully remote role that will be up from CVS sometime this week. So stay tuned because we do have another one of those roles coming up soon. We also have 2 new roles with Imagine 360. If you don't know who they are, they're fantastic. We love them. They are a remote first, fully remote company, healthcare company. And so we have a member services administrator role up there that's full-time. Actually, all of these are full-time. W-2 full-time remote benefits, all the good stuff. And we have a product support specialist role up there as well. So make sure you check out those. We do have roles with travelers up. The insurance advisor and the bilingual insurance advisor roles are both still up on our job board. So make sure you look at those. And like I said, make sure you log in. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to see all of them. And as a reminder that our jobs do update frequently and change frequently. We had roles up last week that got taken down last week because we've gotten enough applicants. So make sure you're checking frequently. If you're not on our Facebook group, you can find there. We usually post about them there. But once you sign up, you'll get emails as well. So make sure you do that because they do update frequently. So if you don't see a role that fits what you're looking for right now, stay tuned. We will hopefully get something for you in the future. All right. So make sure you head to jobs.virtforce.us. You can scan the little QR code up here, and that'll take you there to our job arsenal. As a reminder, in case you're new here and you didn't know, all of those jobs are vetted, legitimate roles with military-friendly employers. We try to get fully remote, and at the very minimum, they are location flexible. So that's what we're looking for. You'll be able to see all the details for all of those roles. The ones that I mentioned today, the CVS Health Customer Service role, the Imagine 360 Member Services Administrator, Product Support Specialist, and both of the roles at Travelers, all of those roles are fully remote, which is great. So we love to see it. So make sure you're checking those out. And let me see. So there we go. I'm just pulling up the comments here. There we go. All right. So now I wanted to see who here is heading towards a PCS in the next 2 years or any kind of move. I'm not really PCSing anymore. We're post-active duty life, just reservist life. So we're staying where we are in the general area. So who is PCSing or moving in the near future? I know I cannot be the only one, but every single time that we get ready to move, my spouse and I have this like cycling circle of questions that get asked every single time we move, which has been like I don't know, 12 times in the 16 years he's been in the Navy. And those questions start with like, do we rent? Do we buy? If we rent, who do we rent from? Where do we find a place to rent? Wouldn't it be great if we had like military landlords, which we do right now, and it's really fantastic. And okay, if we're going to buy, where do we buy? Who do we buy from? Do we know anybody there who can give us a real estate agent like recommendation? Do we know anybody who is an agent in the area? Well, rates are kind of rough right now. Wouldn't it be nice if we had if we could find a VA assumable loan? And then cue my next questions, which are, well, wait a second. I see comments now. Here, I'm moving. Yeah. And then you ask questions like, okay, well, what is a VA assumable loan? How does it work? Right. I know that I cannot be the only one with those kind of questions. And especially because as a military family, you move all the time. It's one of the few pretty much guaranteed things in military life, right? So that's why the military MLS exists. That's why it was created, was for military families to connect with other military families, to create like a community of places to find like a central hub to find rentals and to find trusted military affiliated agents and to find hopefully VA assumable loans. So that's why the military MLS exists. And as part of that, one of the things that's really important to us is offering like free education to help you as a military family understand what your VA loan benefits are, how they work, how does a VA assumable loan work. That's something I am in the process of learning because there's a house I really, really want, but it's VA assumable. So I want to learn more about it for when they're ready to sell it. And those sort of questions are the things that we want to help you answer. And we want to help give you people who actually know the answers to those questions, specifically for military families and who are VA loan experts, right? Because I'm sure we've all worked with somebody who doesn't actually know what they're talking about, or we hear things about the VA loan that may or may not be true. And wouldn't it be great if you had an expert that you could talk to and ask questions to, who could actually give you answers based on your situation, where you are, where you live, what your family's goals are, what your timeline is, things like that. So we are hosting a VA loan boot camp. Here, let me get you the QR code. So we're hosting a VA loan boot camp, which is a fancy title for an educational event. This is first and foremost, an educational event. Very casual, no pressure, just like a safe place to ask your questions and get answers based on your timelines, your goals, your locations, things like that. And I can tell you that apart from questions about a VA assumable loan, there are a lot of things that if you'd ask me, somebody asked me today, like, well, what are your questions? And I was like, well, I don't know. I don't know what questions I have. I don't have any questions because I don't know what they are. I have found these VA loan boot camps. We did one in last month. And what I found most helpful for me, being a few years out from moving, when I said, I don't have any questions, was actually listening to everybody else's questions, because then it helped me learn more. And then that's where I had questions that came out of other people's questions. So it's very casual, very fun. We have 2 kind of tandem events going on with this one. So on June 19th, we're going to meet up in the afternoon. It's a live stream. We'll be live on YouTube and in the Facebook group and on the military MLS Facebook pages and LinkedIn. And we're going to talk about what we wish we knew sooner about the VA loan and real estate and why we wish we knew it sooner. So we're going to do that, kind of a fun, casual conversation. And then the following week on June 24th, we are doing a Coffee and Connect style that's the VA Loan Bootcamp, a Coffee and Connect style Zoom chat where it's informational. We're going to go over myths. We're going to talk about your questions and specific things that you want to know. So highly recommend. You can RSVP here at the at this link here, at that QR code. If you scan, it'll get you to a landing page that has more information. You can RSVP there so we can remind you when the event is so that you can come. And at the Zoom Coffee and Connect on June 24th, we are giving away Starbucks gift cards and Stanley tumblers. And I totally meant to have my Stanley tumblers that I pre-ordered to send out to people here so I could show you, but they are still in a box over there. So we are giving away Stanley tumblers. They're really fun events. Very casual, low pressure, but with experts to get your questions answered. And so they're awesome. Highly recommend coming. You can scan. Here it goes. Sometimes the doesn't like my background, so it makes it all fuzzy to see. But you can scan the QR code there to get more information on those events. And so now I want to talk about something that we get asked multiple times a week in our Facebook group. And that question is, can I work at home with kids? And so the short, simple answer to that is yes, but there's going to be an asterisk at the end of that. So yes, you can work at home with kids. There is a possible thing to do, and there are jobs that absolutely facilitate that. But I will say, like I said, that answer yes comes with an asterisk. This is a much more complicated answer than just simple yes or no for can I work at home with kids. It really boils down to finding the right job at the right company for your specific family. So there are jobs that I can do at home with my 7 and 9-year-old who are like super independent that I could have never, ever done with a 4 and 6-year-old, right? So it's all about finding something that works specifically for your situation and your children, right? And so that's something you got to pay attention to. So yes, you can work at home with kids. Like I said, it really boils down to finding the right position with the right company, because not all companies or positions are going to allow you the flexibility to work at home with kids. Oh, hi, Jerry. No, it's not for spouses only. Anybody can come. Our job board is for everybody. I don't know if you're talking specifically about the job board or you're talking about the events that we're hosting, but everything is available for everybody. So absolutely for everybody. But so like I was saying, not every job can be done with kids at home. So you want to make sure you find the right position, right? So there are a few things like healthcare companies that it's really hard to be a healthcare worker and have your kids at home because of HIPAA laws, and just like legality reasons. They have to you can't have people in the room, including children. So that's why it's really important to do your research and your due diligence on finding a role that works for you. And so first, when you're looking for these roles, I need everybody to pay attention here if this is something that pertains to you. Do not in a job interview, in an email, in a cover letter, anywhere express that the reason you're interested in a job or in this position is so that you can work at home with your kids. Don't express that. It's just not a good look. It's basically telling the employer, hey, I want you to pay me to do your job, this job here. Yeah, I want you to pay me to do this while I am simultaneously doing another job as well. Right? So don't say it. It's not a good look. On the job board, on the VirtForce job board, we ask a question for you so that you know whether or not you can have kids at home. And it's a good question to ask if you are interviewing for a job and it's not on our job board. It's also a great way, even if you don't have kids and you just want to know, hey, can I go work at the coffee shop? Can I go work in my backyard on a nice day? We ask the question, what percentage of quiet office hours does this position require? So you'll see it on every single job posting on the VirtForce job board. You will see we ask that and it'll give you a percentage. And so sometimes it's 100%, sometimes it's 50, sometimes it's 10. And that's a great barometer for whether or not you can have kids at home without actually asking that. Because like I said, you do not want to ask that question. Okay. It's not a good look. And like I said, it's a good barometer because if you have a 1 and 3-year-old at home and your partner is deploying and you don't really have family support, so you don't have a great childcare system, and the job you're looking at requires a 50% quiet office hours, maybe that role is not for you, right? So that's a great way to check. Like I said, we ask that question for you on every single job on the job board. So we do that for you. But it's a good question if you're applying for a job outside of the job board too. And excuse me, hold on. Now that we know you can do it, how do you find the roles, right? So like I said, check our job board. We know that this is something that a lot of people want or need. And so we try to get as many roles as possible on the VirtForce job board that are family friendly or flexible in a way that works for you, right? So you're going to want to look for asynchronous roles. Those are number one, the best to do, especially if you have younger children or you need a lot of flexibility, because those are roles that you can do at any time of day that don't require any quiet office hours really, or any specific times that you have to be on meetings. Number one tip I'm going to give you guys here is that these types of roles tend to be common for scammers, because they know that people love an asynchronous role, right? They love a role that you can do on your own schedule at any time. So be on the lookout for scammers, and no shade here, but be on the lookout for MLMs and commission only roles. They are flexible roles that allow you to have your kids at home, are common for MLMs and commission only roles. Totally fine. You do you, boo. If that works for you, that's fine. But just know the reason we don't consider that a real job, right? Because you could work 40 hours and make no money. So be on the lookout for them. My number one tip is if they're not going to give you the job link, job title, or job company, any basic information about the job, and they want you to reach out via DM or a private message, that's a hard no for me. That's like a red flag for this is either a scam, commission only, or an MLM. So just be on the lookout for those. If that works for you, great, go ahead and do it. But just know that that's a possibility. All right. So what to look for in a job. So look for, like I said, asynchronous things that can be done outside of normal time zones, right? Or can be done during a quiet time or before the kids wake up or after the kids go to bed. Those are obviously great, super flexible options. Obviously data entry, but looking for a data entry role is almost certainly going to bring you a lot of scams. But looking for social media is great. Copywriting, customer service stuff. A lot of those are really flexible and can be done at lots of different times during the day. Small businesses. When I first started working, it was not remote, but I worked for a small business in my local area, and she was super flexible and let me come in on a totally variable schedule to get stuff done. And then when I moved to Japan, she allowed me to continue working, doing some non-office specific work that I could do, like copywriting and editing and customer service and social media things. So those like small businesses tend to be very family friendly, military friendly, and very flexible. Even if it's not fully remote, a lot of times they'll find ways to make it work for you where you can come in on other hours, or they'll find ways to make it flexible for you or remote for you. And contract roles. So I know a lot of people are scared about contract roles, but you shouldn't be. They're great. They're great. We had somebody this week in our Facebook group post about she got hired for a contract role, and she said that the interviewer even said that it was hard to find a qualified candidate because people were afraid of a contract role. But the thing is it's a great role. It's super flexible, well-paying, and contract roles are great. They're super flexible. That's how I got started when I started with VirtForce. I started as a very part-time role while my kids were being homeschooled because we moved 4 times in one single year. So I was homeschooling the kids, and I just started looking for a role to get back into the workforce and like kind of, get more on my resume. And I started at 5 hours a week, and it was pretty much asynchronous. I had 30-minute meeting a week, and the rest was on my own time. And I'm not going to lie, it was a challenge. They were 4 and 6 at the time, I believe, or 5 and 7. And it was a challenge. There was a strong learning curve to teach them that I was no longer available all the time, right? They weren't used to that. So there was a learning curve. Even though they're very independent, it was a struggle. But it was nice to have an asynchronous role where I could be like, okay, well, it's not happening right now because this is a hot mess going on in here. I will get this done after they go to bed. Or when everybody takes a quiet time, I can hammer out some work. And so contract, low hours, which for me time worked perfect because it gave me the flexibility to schedule in my time, right? To make it work for what was working for us homeschooling wise, and if my kids just needed mom. And so contract roles are great. Look for that. And don't be afraid of a low hours one. Sometimes it's really great to just like get your feet wet and slowly ease into it to see what's going to work for you and what's not going to work for you. And the thing about a contract role also that I just want to say, and a small business role, look for the companies, prioritize the companies that prioritize internal growth, that look for a company who's going to say, no, we really want you to grow into a position and do more, because Like that's what's worked for me. And that works for so many other people when you can find a company that's going to let you start and figure out that you are the right fit for this company in this role and then be able to grow in that role. And so for me, it's worked out really well because I started at small hours. That was 2 years ago. I have obviously well surpassed that hours and I'm no longer even in the same position anymore. Really, but it worked for me to get my feet wet while we were in that stage of moving frequently with smaller children who weren't at school full time. So look for those contract roles, look for the small businesses, and don't be afraid of those small business contract roles. Don't be afraid of them. Contract roles are great. There's nothing wrong with them. They're just different. That's all. So that's my big thing. I do want to point this out again. Please don't ever say in a job interview that you want to work at this role because it allows you to work at home with kids. Okay. It's not a good look. It's telling the employer, I want you to pay me while I do 2 jobs. And that's no employer wants to hear that, right? Because that's what you're doing. Just like I said, it wasn't easy for me when we first started and I had kids at home while I was working. Now they're in school full time, so it's a little different. But you are working 2 jobs if you are working a job and parenting at the same time. So just know that. And so don't say that in an interview. Please don't say, I want to find a job where I can work at home with my kids. Feel free to ask the sneaky question, which is my best tip. What percentage of quiet office hours does this role require? Because you'll get the information you need and it'll give you a good barometer, a good check for whether or not it's possible for you to do that at home with kids if you've got kids. So if you have questions about working at home with kids, where to find them, what to do, feel free to comment. We'll come back and answer. And let me change the QR code for you. Always check the VirtForce job arsenal. We ask the question for you on every single role that we post so you know whether or not you can have kids. We had 3 in the last 2 weeks, 3 or 4 in the last 2 weeks, and we hope to have more soon. So keep an eye on that. And again, if you guys have any questions or things you want us to talk about in these Tuesday job talks, please let us know. We're here to help. We'd love to answer the questions that you want answered. So feel free to let us know what you're looking for, what you want to know, what you need help with. And we will see you guys at VA Loan Bootcamp. It's going to be a great event. I'm really excited about it. It's really fun. It's a great way to learn a lot in a low pressure, trusted space. So we will see you guys then. And I will be back next Tuesday at noon Pacific time to do next week's Tuesday job text.